Live in Western Oregon, this is NBC 16 News at 5.
We are taking a live look right now at Atlanta, Georgia, outside the CNN Center, where protests continue over the death of George Floyd while in police custody, or who died over the death of George Floyd, rather, while he was in police custody. Since a video surfaced on his death, protesters have set fires and looted stores. Good evening and thanks for joining us for NBC 16 at 5. I'm Alan Matthews. Former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin was taken into custody earlier today. He now faces murder and manslaughter charges. NBC's Alice Barr has the latest.
As protests raged overnight on the streets of Minneapolis over the death of George Floyd in police custody, President Trump touched off a controversy of his own. The president tweeting, quote, "These thugs are dishonoring the memory of George Floyd," adding this, "When the looting starts, the shooting starts." Twitter slapping the tweet with a warning label, saying it violates company policy by glorifying violence. Twitter referenced the historical context. "When the looting starts, the shooting starts" was a phrase used by a 1960s Miami police chief who's been denounced as racist. President Trump later claiming he was relating a simple fact that looting leads to shooting, referencing recent shootings amid unrest in Minneapolis and Louisville. He later said this.
And we're speaking with the family, and hopefully everything can be fairly taken care of. I understand the hurt. I understand the pain. People have really been through a lot. The family of George is entitled to justice, and the people of Minnesota are entitled to live in safety.
It comes a day after he signed an executive order aimed at stripping legal protections from social media companies if they appear to take political sides over content posted on their sites. President Trump's presumptive Democratic rival, former Vice President Joe Biden, weighing in today.
It's no time to encourage violence. This is a national crisis. We need real leadership right now.
Others pointing out how President Trump is calling Minnesota protesters thugs, while he backed some of the most extreme opponents of coronavirus lockdowns.
You had white men in particular storming the Capitol, armed to the teeth with semi-automatic rifle, grenades, and other kinds of weapons. And the president tweets out, "Liberate Minnesota."
New controversy amid an escalating feud between President Trump and Twitter. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
Chief Chris Skinner from the Eugene Police Department expressed his sadness and anger in a statement regarding the death of George Floyd. Chief Skinner says, quote, "What happened in Minneapolis wasn't a training issue. No police department trains to kneel on a person's neck with the full weight of the officer's body. What happened in Minneapolis was a heart and character issue." Chief Skinner says EPD is committed to hiring quality staff, saying, quote, "Hiring the right people who have a heart for service is where we as a profession should shift our focus. If we have systems in place to hire the right people to serve as law enforcement officers, the training simply gives the officers tools to do their job effectively and safely for both the officer and the community." In Eugene, a march is expected to take place at the federal courthouse building this Sunday at 1 p.m. to protest a series of police brutality incidents against unarmed African Americans. The march will start at the courthouse and end at Alton Baker Park, where there will be speeches starting around 2 p.m. Organizers hope this will serve as a reminder to bring awareness of these unlawful acts from police and fight for the lives of African Americans. Organizers encourage people who plan to attend to wear masks and follow social distancing. Our team will be covering the protest. Make sure to tune in to NBC 16 News at 6:30 and 11. Coos and Douglas counties could be looking to start phase 2 of reopening very soon. Both counties announced today that they're sending request letters to Governor Kate Brown. The applications are expected to be reviewed by the state next week. If approved, the counties could start phase 2 as early as June the 5th. Trace testing for the coronavirus is expanding to Bend this weekend amid a spike in cases. Experts hope to better gauge to see where communities are with COVID-19. The team was in Corvallis for the past 3 weekends, going door to door, randomly testing residents for the coronavirus. They visited nearly 350 homes with about 80% compliance among households. Testing shows 1 to 2 people for every 1,000 in Corvallis had COVID-19.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, in a town of 60,000 people, I mean, it shows that it's out there, and those people could in turn unknowingly be a part of the transmission cycle.
The researchers are working with the county healthcare systems to share data. The TRACE study is a collaboration of 5 OSU colleges funded through a grant. To recap, coronavirus numbers statewide, Oregon has surpassed the 4,100 mark in coronavirus cases. Despite those numbers, no new deaths were reported. The number of deaths in Oregon stands at 151. Most of the cases remain in the northern counties in Multnomah, Marion, and Washington counties. There are more than 2,700 cases there. We turn to our region. Benton County remains at 55. Lynn County has 115. Lane County added 1 case, now has 68 cases, including 1 suspected death. 3 are active cases. Deschutes County has 121 cases. Douglas County added a case. They now have 27. Coos County has 31 cases. The director of the Oregon Employment Department acknowledges her agency hasn't been successful in addressing a record number of unemployment claims. We've heard from several viewers who still haven't received their benefits. Some told us that they filed near the beginning of the pandemic. Department Director Kay Erickson says the agency did prepare for emergencies like earthquakes or other natural disasters, but she admitted that there was never any planning for a pandemic that would cause the unemployment rate to surge at such a massive level.
Certainly on this scale, no. I mean, this is a scale unlike anything anyone has ever seen or probably could imagine. Erickson
says the agency has faced an incredibly complex task with processing claims, but thousands of Oregonians still haven't received help. An alert from the Springfield Police Department and Animal Control. A cougar was spotted earlier this week near South 37th and Laurel Avenue, just outside the Springfield city limits off Jasper Road. Animal Control says the area is near the Pacific Equestrian Center, just north of the Clearwater Doris bike path. This is a picture of the cougar from their social media page. It was taken during the early morning hours, a time when cougars are typically active. Animal Control wants you to be cautious and aware, especially when out and about during these nice spring days.
That was definitely another toasty day across western Oregon. Not as warm as what we experienced yesterday, but still managing to make it up into the 80s through the valleys, into the 60s out along the coast, and a look out over the Coburg Hills from earlier on this Friday. Cloud coverage kind of put a squash on some of those temperatures from warming up to their potential. And you can see the clouds moving from the south to the north, something that we'll continue to see for the rest of tonight. Fire danger still remains at moderate levels for Lane County, but likely actually going to be falling back as heavy rain moves back into our area late tonight into tomorrow. Grass pollen count remains at extreme levels, trees at moderate, but maybe a quick moving shower or two later tonight. But the brunt of the rainfall, it returns tomorrow with much cooler conditions. I'll have that timeline and the severe weather potential in just a few.
All right, thanks a lot, Josh. Well, last month, a Roseburg School District Zoom class was hacked and disturbing images were shown to students. Now, after some research into other platforms, the district has decided to continue to use Zoom. NBC 16's David Ochoa talked to the district to see why they decided against a change.
After suspending Zoom lessons because of a hacking incident, the Roseburg School District has decided to resume the use of the teleconferencing tool.
We were receiving multiple requests from parents to continue with video conferencing because their students were missing the connection with their teachers as well as their peers.
The district put together a team that spent several weeks researching other platforms to use in their classrooms.
We have technology teacher leaders in each of our buildings. Their role is to provide professional development and support for teachers in each of the buildings on the use of technology.
After looking at several factors, the district decided Zoom was still the best option.
Zoom has continued to update their platform as we've moved through this time with COVID-19, and it was also ease of use. The gallery feature to where all of the participants can see each other at the same time and be able to have that connection piece.
The decision to return to Zoom is optional for the parents. If they don't feel comfortable letting their kids on Zoom, teachers will make accommodations for those students. As for the future, NE says they're working on a schedule for teachers to receive professional development training sometime this summer. She says they're still waiting for guidelines from the Oregon Department of Education and the Oregon Health Authority to see what school will look like next year. Reporting in Roseburg, I'm David Ochoa.
Researchers at OSU are encouraging and prioritizing recess for when schools reopen. The focus of the study is making sure kids are receiving the exercise they need to stay healthy physically and mentally. Meanwhile, the Global Recess Alliance says they hope adults will be upkeeping the need of sanitizing play equipment at recess on a daily basis. OSU researchers say peer-to-peer social interaction is also important for overall health development.
And physical activity is important for kids and their overall development. We know it's important not just for their physical health, but also for their social and emotional well-being. It helps prime their brain for learning. And so, as we consider that kids have been cooped up, they've been isolated, certainly there's a lot of struggle going on there.
Coming up at 5:30, Angelina Dixon tells us the result of a survey that was conducted on 500 parents and the physical health of their children during the pandemic. Well, coming up next on NBC 16 at 5, a long-term trial is underway to look into the effects of the pandemic on women who are pregnant. Plus, some good news for those hoping to enjoy what Mother Nature has to offer. Several campgrounds in Oregon have announced when they are reopening.